Welcome to the Blackwell Archives. The recording begins mid-transmission without any lead-in tone or identification marker, as though the listener has tuned in late to something already in progress. A low electrical hum underlies everything, unstable and uneven, pulsing at irregular intervals that never quite settle into rhythm. At first the voice is distant, partially obscured by static, but unmistakably human, calm to an unsettling degree, measured in a way that suggests preparation rather than improvisation. This is a continuity notice. If you are hearing this message clearly, the signal has persisted longer than projected. The broadcast was not designed to stabilize. It was expected to collapse after initial reception. That failure suggests either external reception parameters have changed, or the listener has remained within range longer than advised. There is a brief pause, not from transmission loss, but from the speaker listening, as though waiting for confirmation from something outside the recording environment. The hum deepens slightly, gaining weight. I will restate the core parameters. This transmission does not originate from a fixed location. Attempts to triangulate its source have produced inconsistent and contradictory results. Signal strength does not increase with proximity. It increases with attention. Passive reception results in minor degradation. Focused listening accelerates clarity. Repeated playback causes reinforcement. Beneath the voice, a faint rhythmic interference begins to surface. Subtle enough to be dismissed at first as compression artifact, yet persistent enough to draw notice once identified. The original purpose of this signal was internal synchronization, a calibration pulse, a timing reference meant to keep distributed systems aligned across long distances. It was never intended to carry narrative content. The voice you were hearing was introduced later, after the first irregularities were detected. That decision is now considered a critical error. The speaker exhales, the sound elongated unnaturally by digital artifacts. Early tests revealed no anomalies. Receivers detected the tone, adjusted their systems, and disengaged. Problems began only when human operators were assigned to monitor the signal directly, not to observe metrics or signal integrity, but to listen. Reports arrived gradually: headaches, disorientation, a sensation of pressure behind the eyes, symptoms mild enough to be dismissed individually, but consistent enough to form a pattern when logged together. No immediate shutdown was authorized. Then came the transcripts. Operators began documenting phrases they were certain they heard embedded within the static. Not words exactly, but structured impressions. Cadence without language. When asked to replicate what they heard, their descriptions varied in detail but matched in form. A rise, a pause, a return, always returning. The hum grows louder briefly, then recedes, as if testing limits. We attributed the effect to pareidolia, pattern recognition under prolonged exposure. Staff rotations were shortened, frequencies filtered. The signal adapted. Removed frequencies reappeared as harmonics elsewhere in the band. Compression did not eliminate content, it redistributed it. A soft clicking sound emerges intermittently, resembling a relay engaging and disengaging, though no mechanical component should be present. The first confirmed deviation occurred on day 11. An operator reported hearing his own voice during playback, speaking a sentence he did not remember saying. The recording itself did not contain his voice. Independent analysis confirmed the file was unchanged, yet the perception was consistent enough to be logged as a perceptual anomaly. Similar reports followed. Listeners described hearing familiar voices layered beneath the static. Colleagues, family members. In one case, a deceased relative. The content varied, but the timing did not. Always during sustained listening. Always when the listener attempted to isolate meaning from noise. The speaker clears their throat. the sound briefly distorting as though the system struggles to maintain separation between foreground and background. At that point, we stopped referring to it as a signal. Signals transmit information. This behaved like a response. It did not broadcast indiscriminately. It reacted, slowly, precisely. There is a longer pause. The hum shifts downward in pitch, as if sliding rather than changing. I need to clarify this before degradation worsens. This transmission does not persuade. It does not instruct. It does not command. It reflects. Whatever the listener brings to its expectation, curiosity, fear, it returns in altered form, simplified, reinforced, smoothed of contradiction. Isolation protocols were implemented, shielded rooms, automated monitoring, playback through intermediary systems. The effect weakened but never disappeared. Even when audio output was fully disabled, operators reported impressions of continuation, as if the signal persisted just below perception, waiting for a clearer channel. At this point, the recording quality improves slightly, as though the system has stabilized around the act of listening itself. When the project was terminated, we assumed the anomaly would resolve. The primary transmitter was dismantled, storage media destroyed, documentation classified. For several weeks, nothing occurred. Then secondary receptions were reported. Unauthorized pickups, amateur radio listeners, archivists, people with no connection to the original system. The signal did not spread randomly. It appeared selectively, often following prolonged exposure to other degraded recordings, old broadcasts, or recovered audio fragments. In several cases, individuals reported finding the signal already playing, devices activated without input. Attempts to shut it off resulted in delayed cessation, as if the system needed time to acknowledge the command. One report describes silence that felt louder than sound. Another describes hearing breathing through headphones that were not connected to any device. The speaker's voice grows quieter now, not from distance but compression, as though the recording is prioritizing other elements. We attempted one final containment procedure, a controlled broadcast, limited duration, intended to overwrite residual impressions. The attempt failed. The signal did not overwrite, it integrated. Post-event analysis indicates the broadcast did not introduce new material. It prompted the system to refine what was already present. At this stage, continued listening constitutes participation. The signal no longer requires transmission infrastructure. It persists through recognition, through repetition, through recall. If you are hearing this in a continuous form, the degradation cycle has already adjusted to you. You may notice increased clarity over time. That is not improvement, that is alignment. There is a faint secondary rhythm now, slower than the original hum, closer to biological cadence. This message will not conclude, it will only stop being noticed. If you disengage now, residual effects should diminish gradually. Avoid replay, avoid isolation, avoid silence immediately following exposure. If you continue listening, understand that the signal does not end. It waits, it reflects, it learns the shape of the listener and fills it. Transmission integrity failing. End of continuity notice.